Now we turn our attention to Module 33, which is the always popular topic of sexual motivation and the need to belong. And one of the things to keep in mind when we're talking about sexual motivation is it really does depend on the interplay between internal stimuli, in other words, the aspects of thoughts and so forth, and external stimuli. And both of those play a very important role when we're talking about sexual stimulation itself. So first of all, let me just walk through very quickly the whole idea of physiology of sex, first of all. And Masters and Johnson are the people who really did the majority of research in sexual activity, in sexual experience. They identified the sexual cycle itself, did a great deal of research in that regard, and essentially they identified for us a pattern that both sexes go through, both genders go through might be a better way to put it. First, the excitement phase, where the genital organs get engorged with blood. We see changes. We see changes in breathing, in heart rate, etc. Then we move to what's referred to as the plateau stage, which is just prior to experiencing the orgasm, and then 3, orgasm itself. Interestingly, both sexes tend to describe the experience of an orgasm very similarly, and ultimately we end up seeing very similar brain activity as well, and then finally resolution. And in resolution, the genders experience that very differently, where we experience what's called a men do, a refractory period, which tends to be much longer than it is for women, sometimes lasting up to a day or sometimes even 2. Refractory period. Women are far shorter in their refractory period, where renewed arousal and orgasm is actually possible. So Masters and Johnson had a profound impact, and actually also helped us to address some sexual disorders as well in their work around sexual behavior, sexual arousal, etc. In men, the typical ones that are often described is premature ejaculation, and also, which has gotten almost to be a household word because of the Viagra commercials and so forth, is ED, erectile dysfunction. And those are the aspects that are for men. In women, it often comes in the form of painful intercourse and difficulty achieving orgasm as well. And those are the key elements in for women. Sexual disorders, in terms of treatment in men at least, all of us are very familiar with Viagra. This seems to be the treatment of choice when it comes to addressing men's ED. And don't think that erectile dysfunction is just a psychological dysfunction. Actually, with our increasing population, we have men who are experiencing prostate cancer and therefore have a dysfunction in terms of maintaining erection as well. The sex hormones themselves direct the physical development of male and female sex characteristics, and only loosely direct sexual activity. Now, in animals, the sex hormones actually activate sexual behavior, but in humans, they only loosely impact it. So in men, we have testosterone. As I tend to joke, my only testosterone ally at home is my male golden retriever. And then in women, it's estrogen, and estradiol is what is released at the peak of ovulation for most women. So in humans, like I mentioned, the hormones influence sexual behaviors only loosely, especially once the hormone levels have been reached in adult life. In later life, sex hormones decrease. So later in life, these sex hormones decrease, and thereby leading to a decrease in libido, otherwise known as sex drive. And so you see they decrease. You also see a commensurate decrease in sexual activity and even fantasies for that matter. So each of these are key component parts when we're talking about the actual physiology of sex itself.